What up, Homedawgs? My name is Gokey Gamer, coach of the Milwaukee Medichams, and welcome everybody to week 1 of the NBBL Pokemon Battle Revolution League, where this week we're going to be taking on none other than Brandon, coach of the Piedmont Triad Kickers. Now, you'll go ahead and see that this is actually a video, and that's because I'm doing post-commentary. As far as I know, my actual audio is fine, but the reason I decided to do this was just because I was stressed about trying to get this to work, and as a result, my commentary is really bad. So, I just didn't like the commentary. I was all over the place when recording this, and I just didn't feel good about trying to make something out of it. And I just felt like that making post-commentary made a lot more sense. So that is what we are going to be doing here. So, without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and show the team here. Plop! So, you'll see that my opponent has Starmie, Scizor, Togekiss, Roserade, Weavile, Rhydon, Drifblim, and Luxray. So, this is the team that my opponent has. Overall, I actually really like my matchup here. I think it is an extremely good matchup. I really am a big fan of it, I won't lie. Obviously, Togekiss is very annoying in Generation 4, but, like, Infernape looks really good here, especially once Starmie goes down. Manectric looks really solid as well, and, like, even, like, Frostlass. There's no hazard removal on this team, as far as I know. I don't think Togekiss gets the... Oh, wait, no, I keep forgetting that Starmie gets Rapid Spin. I'm ridiculous. But anyways, yeah, this is the team. I actually completely forgot that Starmie got Rapid Spin in prep, so that was a slight mistake on my part. I don't know why I kept forgetting that this Mon got Rapid Spin, but you know what? It is what it is. But I'm very excited about this matchup. I think it is a really good matchup here, and I'm very much looking forward to showing you guys what happened. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So it takes me a while to try and figure out, as you can see here, how this whole system works. And you'll see, this is their team right here. By the way, it's so cool being on this. I would have been freaking out a lot more had I known how this system worked. I probably, side note before getting into it, I should have actually tested this out before going into it. But as you can see right here, I have no idea what my opponent's team is, and I can't even tell what Pokemon slots are in my thing. I did not know this was going to be a thing going into it. There was a code that we had to put in where we had to put in, like, the no sprites. I always thought that it was just for a different part of the game. I didn't realize it was going to be for the actual, you're not going to be able to see the Pokemon section. Whoops. What I ended up doing, I tried to figure out where Frostlass was, because I did like Frostlass as a lead, but then I decided, you know what, I know where Infernape is. Infernape is in that very first slot. I'm going to go ahead and lead Infernape. I had no idea what to expect here. I, again, should have tested this out beforehand, but it is what it is. So, without even further ado, jump into the battle. I am so immensely excited. I don't even remember this Coliseum, so I think this must be a specific Coliseum for Wi-Fi battles, which is really cool. Unfortunately, the music sucks, so I might actually dub the music. I haven't decided that yet. I did not like this music. But we're gonna see Togekiss as the lead here. Immediately, I'm like, this has to be Choice Scarf Togekiss. That's kind of a major thing it does. So I end up going, this is actually a defensive Infernape. So I'm like, I could try to stay in with Infernape, but Infernape doesn't deal that much damage to this in return. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead. What do I want to switch into here? Eventually, I decide to switch into Guzma, my Skuntank. It would be, again, very nice if we could see what the actual Pokemon are. Unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to do that. So we see, eventually, I've Gilliatina the Frostlass, Guzma the Skuntank, the Altaria the Sunset, Bolt the Manectric, and I already forgot what my final Pokemon was. And as you can see here, I'm fiddling around with the controls because I'm trying to do calcs and stuff like that at the same time. Thank goodness there was no time limit in this game, because I was like, genuinely, I have no idea how, I'm trying to do calcs at the same time, and because this game was like lagging with my inputs and stuff like that, it was very difficult trying to like do calcs and write information and do this at the same time. There's also single battles on top of that. I haven't done a single battle in literal months. I have not done a single battle basically since April. So I'm very Pokemon Champions pilled now, and this was very stressful in order for me to like figure out what the heck was going on. So again, that's why I'm all over the place right now. I eventually end up shifting into Guzma because Skuntank is my specialty defensive wall. And you can hear in the background the commentary. I love this announcer, dude. It's so cool. And we see Skuntank hit the field, which is great. And we're going to see this Togekiss go for Air Slash. It's going to do a decent chunk of damage, but you know what? It's not too bad. I'm like, okay, I didn't take it as well as I had hoped I would, but thankfully we do have the Black Sludge, so we are good there. And we are going to go ahead and you can see how long it takes for things to load. So it is what it is. but yeah, again, my commentary was just very all over the place because that is a crazy animation. God, I love Generation 4's animations in this game. It's so good. I love the animations in this game. Eventually, I decide to go for a Toxic. You can see that my thing is hovering over there. Also, I apologize, my mouse is on the screen on my very legitimate thing. But yeah, eventually we end up going for Toxic. We see an Air Slash here. I'm hoping that we don't flinch. Serene Grace Togekiss is a major issue, and we are going to see that we flinch. Whoopity-doo. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to lose Skuntank immediately. I also, again, because I was all over the place, I didn't think about, like, oh, there's probably a Starmie in the back. There's probably this in the back. There's probably that in the back. I had a very hard time trying to figure out, like, how, like, everything worked. And realistically, I should not have let Guzma get this weakened. I should have just immediately swapped into my Manectric as opposed to Skuntank here to tank the Air Slash, or even just stayed in with Infernape and gone for a Flamethrower because I was Koba Berry, which weakens down the super effective flying type attacks. Thankfully, Manectric does take this quite well, which is quite nice. And, yeah. So, eventually, I'm like, okay, what do I want to do here? I'm going to fight, obviously. Do I go for Thunderbolt? Do I go for Flamethrower? Do I go for Hidden Power Grass? Here, I actually freak out because I'm like, oh, crap, did I gen in my Hidden Power wrong? Turns out, no, I did not. I actually have Hidden Power on my Frostlass as well, and I accidentally click it later on in the game, and, it said Hidden Power Normal, but it was Hidden Power Fire. So, I do have Hidden Power Grass on my Manectric. We do see that the Togekiss switches out here. I go for Thunderbolt into a Rose Raid that hits the field. So, we just go for Thunderbolt, bada bing, bada boom. Such cool animations. I love this game. Critical hit is actually really solid here. I'm a big fan of that. So, yeah. I think what would have been really nice, again, if I was able to see the, if I was able to see the team, I would know, spoiler alert, this team did not have Rhydon on it, as far as I know anyways, so I could have just gone for Flamethrower for free, and not even stressed. Thankfully, we do go for Flamethrower here, because I am Expert Belt Manectric. It's always a kill into this Rose Raid, and thankfully, we land the kill. So, immediately, we are doing pretty solid here. Skuntank is pretty chipped. This is one less thing for Skuntank to worry about, which Skuntank actually looked really insane in this matchup, so, aside from Hidden Power Ground, so that is something I do have to be aware of. And we are going to go ahead and see that Togekiss switches back in, and that basically confirms, okay, this thing is Scarfed. Also, this confirms that there is no Rhydon in the back, because Rhydon obviously would have hit the field last time, or even now. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go for a Thunderbolt here. I completely forget that Hidden Power Ground is a thing. So you can see here, they go for Hidden Power, and unfortunately, it does kill. A very unfortunate death there. The Manectric was actually a really good Pokemon on this team, especially for things like Starmie in the back and things like that. Unfortunately, it does drop here. It is what it is. But thankfully, now we know for sure that this is Scarf. All I need to do now is go into Claydol, and I can immediately set up Rocks, which is extremely valuable in this matchup. So, huge fan of this. We are immediately going to switch into Claydol, and we're going to click Rocks as they switch out. They're forced to switch out, probably into the Starmie at this point, because Rose Raid also is dead. So, we are going to see that my opponent switches out here. Bada bing, bada boom. I ended up having to skip forward quite a bit. And we are going to see Drifblim hits the field. I'm like, okay, Drifblim is a little bit scary. We're gonna go for Rocks. Obviously, Drifblim being able to set up. Thankfully, Snot doesn't have access to Strength Sap, which is quite nice. But there's obviously a Ghost type attack heading my way. I don't have a normal type on my team, so I know for a fact that this thing is probably going to do some damage. It's either going to be a status or it's going to be Setup Sweeper with Unburdened, which is very terrifying, obviously. But thankfully, I have a perfect check for this in Skuntank. Again, Skuntank actually needed to do a lot in this matchup, and I should not have let it get chipped down so much by the Togekiss. That was a very big misplay by me, but again, my mindset was not in the right headspace for this entire game, so it sucks, but it is what it is. Again, not to discredit Brandon or anything like that, definitely not, but I definitely could have played better throughout this game, and letting Skuntank get chipped down so much when it also had to handle Starmie, possibly Rose Raid, and this Pokemon, it was not the smartest choice that I made. Eventually, we go for Toxic into this Drifblim because this thing is setting up in my face. I'm hoping that Brandon tries to get greedy and they just, you know, go for the, either they switch out or they go for Calm Mind again. They stay in, so we get a Toxic off on this thing, which is quite nice. I am a big fan of that. And we are going to see this Drifblim go for a Hidden Power Ground. So once again, Hidden Power Ground does super effective damage into me, but thankfully Skuntank lives, which is insane for the record. Big fan of that. I very much liked that a lot. And yeah, Guzma tanks the hit. and Drifblim gets poisoned, which is very nice. So here I make a little bit of a misplay. I end up going for Sucker Punch over Pursuit. The reason that I did this was to deal as much damage as possible, but I didn't think about the fact that this thing has Calm Mind. It could very easily be Citrus Berry and Unburden, and I probably should have just taken the damage with Pursuit. It is what it is. I definitely misplayed that a little bit, I think. I think if I had gone for Pursuit there to deal a little bit of chip damage, then I would have been put in a much better position, but it is what it is. Toxic is still stacking up on Drifblim, which is quite nice, and yeah. Obviously, I'm kind of locked into Sucker Punch at this point, so I'm going to take my hit, and I'm going to go for Sucker Punch here. Bada bing, bada boom. Beautiful damage, and that's actually quite a bit of damage there, which I am a big fan of. And then they reveal the Citrus Berry, and I'm like, okay, this is Unburden. This is a problem. I did click Sucker Punch with the thought of that possibly happening in the back of my mind, but I was like, you know what? I need to damage this thing as quickly as possible. Crazy animation, by the way, and I just was like, I'm going to take my hit, and I'm going to deal as much damage as possible. I also looked to see how much damage Drifblim takes from the poison, and it's actually a decent chunk of damage. I'm like, if I can fire off one more hit into this thing, it probably drops next turn. So eventually, I'm going to go into Sunset the Altaria in order to try and pick up that kill. So you can see my shiny Altaria here. Very beautiful. Love this mon so much. It's so pretty. I actually did get a shiny Altaria back in Gen 7, so that is what this is referencing. I got it through like the Ultra Wormhole. So and I'm here, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to click Draco Meteor. Draco Meteor is just a button spam, especially in Generation before, like, there's no fairy types. Draco Meteor, I can just click. I would have liked to go for a flamethrower, but I was like, you know what? It's fine. We're going to see Shadow Ball here. It's going to do barely anything, which is kind of crazy. Altaria, this Altaria is not even, like, that bulky. It has max HP, but that's it. We end up doing a decent chunk of damage with the Draco Meteor. Our special attack is going to drop, and the Drifblim is going to drop to the Poison, which is very, very nice. Eventually, you can see it drops the poison. The rocks are up here. I also, again, forget that Rapid Spin is still online. Sad Drifblim death. That's so sad. But, you know, it is what it is. And eventually, the Starmie, speaking of, is going to switch in. So, Starmie is going to hit the field here. Bada bing, bada boom. And this is where I'm going to make a slight error. Obviously, this thing gets Rapid Spin. I should have known this, and I completely forgot. What I should have done here is I should have gone into Frostlass. I actually think about going into Frostlass, predicting an Ice Beam. The reason I didn't is because, well, I have the Yachi Berry, and I could just go for a Toxic. Yes, this thing has Natural Cure, but you know what? I could just go for Toxic to get a little bit of chipped off, and things like that. Because I also want to know if this thing goes for, like, a Surf or something like that, because Starmie is very scary, especially if it is choiced. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go for a Toxic here. I have the Yachi Berry, I can tank an Ice Beam. This was definitely a throw. I should have every single time gone into Frostlass to avoid the spin. That was a very unfortunate play by me, and it is what it is. We lose the rocks, which is very unfortunate for Togekiss in the back, but it do be like that. Starmie does get poisoned, but again, because of the ability Natural Cure, Starmie, if it ever switches out, it will lose that poison. So that is something I do need to keep in mind moving forward. We also reveal the leftovers here, so it's not Choice Scarf. I also need to remember that duplicate items exist in this game, which I also completely forgot until this post commentary. So again, I've been so Pokemon Champions pilled that I need to remember how to actually play singles, and I need to remember how to play on the Pokemon Battle Revolution. It's crazy, but I think I'm going to need to configure some of my keyboard inputs for sure for the next game, because it was definitely very difficult trying to type around my hotkeys, because with the way that I had the emulator set up, I mean my very legitimate Wii, I ended up while trying to do calcs typing in the thing. You can see me here. I go into the battle menu where I'm like, no, I do not want to go in the battle menu because there's nothing I can do here. So I'm trying to do calcs at the same time, and it's very difficult. So next time I'm definitely going to be configuring my keyboard beforehand. This is just the consequences of me not testing this out beforehand. Also, shout out to Brandon as well, because Brandon ended up having to wait quite a bit for me, because for whatever reason I was experiencing technical issues with my setting up my Wii, because of course I did. I'm the king of technical difficulties, and it was very, very complicated, very, very difficult to figure out what was going on, but eventually we figured it out, and I'm good. I ended up having to do an extra step, which most other people didn't have to do, which is so funny, but I ended up having to do an extra step, but it ended up working out, so it is what it is. We're going to see the Starmie go for Ice Beam here, so this time they actually click the Ice Beam button as we go into Frostlass. I'm like, okay, this is fine. So I eventually, you know, here you see Hidden Power. I'm like, oh crap, I don't know. So I go to do a calc, and I accidentally click Hidden Power. I'm like, no, I meant to set up spikes. Thankfully, it doesn't really matter here. We're gonna see Starmie switch back out, and we're gonna see the Weavile hit the field. And we're like, okay, well, this ended up working out well if Hidden Power actually works. We go for the Hidden Power. Thankfully, it does work. So it says normal on the prep menu, but it actually is the type it's supposed to be. So that is something really important to note for the future. I did not know this before. I do have the Colbur Berry, so I can freely switch out even if they go for a Pursuit here, which is what I'm expecting. And yes, as you can see here, we are going to try to switch out, but Weavile goes for Pursuit, and we are going to go ahead and reveal our Colbur Berry. So we reveal the Colbur Berry as the Weavile goes for Pursuit, which, by the way, Hidden Power and Pursuit obviously are both legal here, and the Frostlass ends up taking a lot of damage, which it doesn't enjoy taking, but you know what? It is what it is. And we are going to go ahead and switch out and switch back into our Infernape, which is our guaranteed check for this. Infernape actually blocks this so insanely well. It does have Aerial Ace, but, Weavile could have Aerial Ace, but I have the Colbur Berry specifically for that moment. So here I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm just going to go for U-turn here. It should kill, I imagine, and, you know, we can do a lot of damage. We can, you know, we threaten it out with a Mach Punch or a Vacuum Wave, and they might value saving this Pokemon. Here's where I make another slight mistake. The Weavile is going to go for Low Kick. It's going to do Diddly Squat into me, so I'm like, okay, this is fine. Boom. Ow! Oh no! Barely any damage. And such a cool rebound animation, by the way. Really cool. I'm gonna go for U-turn thinking it's gonna kill, and because I am a defensive Infernape, it does not. And I'm like, well, I should have clicked the Vacuum Wave button. The Vacuum Wave was always the correct play. I think I was predicting a Starmie switch in my head, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna click U-turn here and just go with that. That was the wrong play, unfortunately. It is what it is. So now I have to figure out what I'm going to sack, and unfortunately, it is going to be the Altaria. Altaria is going to be the Pokemon that I sacrifice to this Weavile. So I'm going to go ahead and send in Altaria here. I'm like, Altaria, you've kind of served your purpose, and at this point, I'm kind of accepting the fact that I've already made so many misplays that I'm going to probably lose this game. It's just a matter of trying to take out as many Pokemon as possible. So I decide, you know what, I'm just going to go for Flamethrower on the off chance that we can somehow live an attack, or if they miss an Icicle Crash or something like that. They go for Ice Punch, we reveal the Yachi Berry, and you'll see here, bada bing, bada boom, booshkis. Unfortunately, we do not live. And, yeah, Altaria is gonna drop here. Very, very sad days. Very, very unfortunate. But thankfully, this gives me a free switch into Infernape, and I can just click Vacuum Wave now. I can also click, U-turn at some point as well. But unfortunately, I realize as well, I have nothing for the Starmie in the back. Starmie just kind of ruins my day. I cannot take a hit from the Starmie. Here, I'm actually gonna go for Slack Off to try to restore as much HP as possible. Because, being able to do that is very valuable. We're gonna see Low Kick from the Weavile. It's gonna do Diddly Squat here, bada bing, bada boom. Yep, we take that easy. We go for the, whatchamacallit? We go for Slack Off here to restore HP. Very, very nice for this Infernape. Bulky Infernape is a threat. We get back up to basically full, which is very nice, and I'm going to go ahead and fire off a Vacuum Wave, and this Weavile is going to die next turn. We go for the Vacuum Wave here, bada bing, bada boom. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Weavile will go ahead and drop here. Once again, just shout outs to all these beautiful animations. I really love these animations. They're so cool. And, Weavile is going to drop here, bada bing, bada boom. And now I'm like, okay, well, Starmie just kind of packs me up. And, spoiler alert, Starmie spams Surf and basically wins them the game. I have a slight chance to live if it has no special attack investment, but that slight chance is, like, very, very low. It's the only chance I had, but, like, it was never gonna happen, I think. And I think with, like, I think I needed to actually be, quite literally, at full HP for that to happen. So, it is what it is, but we're gonna go ahead, let these animations play out, and I'll talk a little bit about kind of like my experience. Obviously, again, I should have prepped first before this game. I should have like actually tested out the system, made sure I knew how everything worked. I thought it was going to be way easier than it was, and turns out it wasn't the case. So always make sure you double check how like each system works if you're using a new thing. That's just kind of like a good rule of thumb, and I definitely learned that lesson here. Definitely make sure you spend time setting everything up, making sure that you have everything ready to go. We're gonna see here that Starmie goes for Surf, and it will unfortunately KO my Infernape. Death to Infernape! No! Rest in peace. I maybe should have been Scarf Infernape or something like that, or Scarf Manectric. I think that was there's definitely a couple of those that came to mind, but I still really liked the team that I had. Obviously, if the Manectric wasn't Expert Belt, then the Flamethrower would not have killed Roserade from that range. So that is very crucial to note. Maybe I could have been Scarf Frostlass as well with Scarf Spikes. That could have been cool, but regardless, Frostlass obviously is going to die here. I have hopes, but yeah. And then Claydol will eventually die as well. I get a little little bit of chip damage with Earth Power, but yeah, eventually we just die. So yeah, once again, GG's to Brandon, by the way, as well. Really absolutely well done, and mad respect to how he played and prepped. I definitely underestimated the team quite a bit, and I definitely did not play as well as I should have, or wanted to at the very least. I definitely learned a lot from this experience as well. I know that I need to like kind of configure things out, and I need to definitely get my practice back in with singles again, because yeah, this was definitely a humbling experience to be kind of beaten in this way. So we're going, we lose week 1, 0-3, but week 1 curse is real. We end up bouncing back usually anyways. I go for Earth Power just in case. I should have gone for Ice Beam for the freeze chance. That would have been pretty insane, but you know, that wasn't gonna happen. We do actually tank the Surf, which is kind of insane. We actually tank it better than I thought we would, so that's kind of impressive. But anyways, we go for Earth Power here, bada bing, bada boom, and yeah, do a little bit of damage, which is pretty solid. And we're gonna see the Stormy has leftovers. Stormy's just gonna kill me next turn, like I said. But yeah, once again, GG's. I'll go ahead and let Claydoll's death animation play out here as Brandon wins the battle. And yeah, be sure to check out my opponent's channel down in the description below in case you haven't already, and in case they do upload. They are an absolutely phenomenal human being, and they've actually helped me a lot in prep before, so it's always fun going up against Brandon. He's a really talented battler, and he just outplayed me spectacularly here. And yeah, I definitely need to lock in for the next coming weeks, but we can definitely do that. I'm feeling really good about this team for the record as well. I did really like this team, so it's just a matter of figuring out like, okay, how do I improve from here? You know, getting back into the swing of things, getting used to the controls. Now that I've had this experience, I can guarantee week 2 is going to go a lot better. So week 2 will be going up for a hot minute just because I'm going to be out of town, and technically I'm uploading this very early. So, because I thought the week started like 2 weeks ago, the league started 2 weeks ago, because I built this team like a month ago. So that was the other thing too, trying to remember how this team worked. But turns out that wasn't the case. So here's what it is though. GG's to my opponent. Once again, absolutely stellarly played. Cannot emphasize this enough. Brandon absolutely outplayed me in this match. And I can't wait to get my revenge in playoffs. At least I hope. Because again, Brandon's a really talented battler. And I definitely think under different circumstances, or like different plays, how to make different plays and different builds, I definitely could have won this game. But regardless, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you all enjoyed. And I'll see you soon in the next video. Peace out, mates!